All right, we are live after a LSU debacle on the plains of Auburn. Absolutely disgusting performance by LSU in all facets, starting with the offensive line. TJ Finley hits a wall in his second game as a starter, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. Preston, I'm gonna let you take it while I get our links out for the live. Please let us know on YouTube and Facebook if you hear us and see us okay. But we got a lot to talk about, and I imagine all of you guys out there are going to be super spicy. So let's roll.
Get that sharing because there's going to be some fire here today.
Yeah.
What we just saw was inexcusable. I mean, it is a shame, a travesty. Your defense gave up touchdowns on 5 straight scores. You ran for 32 yards. Yo, what's going on here? I mean, TJ Finley went from rock star to, he looked solid at first, but the wheels just fell off that thing. And, they just, 3 turnovers later, they didn't stand a chance. And it's like, just when you think this defense is giving you enough hope. The first quarter, best football they played all year on defense. Okay? Then 1 turnover later, and they're just getting torn up. And I talked to Coach O in post-game press conference. I don't think anybody's seen it yet.
Yeah, by the way, I don't know. Look, the conspiracy theorist in me, I'm trying to understand why. Of course, I'll turn it around and say right before we hit to go live, Gus Malzahn's video just finally became available to the media. So maybe, and by the way,
trick-or-treaters.
See, I'm gonna let him take it. See, I'm actually gonna be nice, and the kids are gonna get. They're gonna get, and you can hear Parker in my bedroom going berserk. But the kids are still gonna get candy. So take it.
Yeah, you might as well salvage some happiness tonight in Baton Rouge because you're not gonna get it watching this football team. So give the kids their candy. I did think it was funny. Post-game press conference. Right as I'm asking Coach O a question, I mean, immediately after I'm done and I get muted, trick-or-treaters knock on my door and both my dogs lose their collective minds. I'm like, man, if that had happened 15 seconds before, my dogs would have lost their mind while I was talking to Ogeron. And I can't unmute myself or mute myself, so that would have been bad.
We got a couple of skeletons there, and I think one of them might have been beyond the age limit. But I did them right. They only got one piece of candy, but all I got is Snickers. If I would have given them Twizzlers.
Give them some joy. You might see some 40-year-old men out there trick or treating after that. I mean, you need something to bring them up.
Something's bad out there.
Guys, I want to hear all y'all's thoughts on tonight. What's the problem? What's going on? And I will say this all year long. I've been saying that the team this year is probably not going to light anything on fire. You're probably going to have to be depressed for a while, but I don't think it's a program issue. That's the good news.
Look, here's the thing.
They're fine.
I've been saying for weeks, okay, this year is what it is, and they've got Jim's and Joe's problems. But there was some facets tonight where you've got people out there on the field that you're wondering if they've actually quit. There's a lack of effort. The offensive line was absolutely putrid. The defensive line, we talk about it every week. Do they have the personnel to run a 4-3? Ojulari getting pushed around like he's on roller skates. I still want to know what's going on with Jacoby and Guillory. A big part of what we're seeing tonight is, and I'm not being snarky, but I guess I probably am. Next year we're going to be saying, well, LSU's got this much coming back from last year's team. Well, that's the positive. The negative, they've got this much of last year's team coming back.
Ouch. That is brutal. But, I mean, it's true, though. I mean, there's a lot of elements you got to...
there's some guys where you're seeing them and they're not very effective and they've been in the program for 3 years. I mean, a lot of those guys, they are what they are. Who are the difference makers? Who are the guys that you can legitimately look at and say, next year, that guy is a legit all-SEC first or second team possibility? And that's where you're running into problems with LSU. But I think the lowest score tonight, Brian Lazar puts his grades out on TigerBait.com every Monday morning, our report card. And I don't know who's got a bigger F besides the offensive line.
Ooh, boy. I mean, I guess you could say the defense, but even they had moments where they played all right, but offensive line just... I mean, I've been arguing early on in this season, outside of South Carolina and Vanderbilt, the offensive line has been right up there with the defense in terms of their struggles. It has just been really bad. And Ed Ingram, you know, he helped a little bit, but he clearly wasn't enough today. That would be 32 yards rushing on 27 rushing attempts. Dude, 1.3 yards? Come on now, man. What are you doing? Like, okay, I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's not a good loss. This is an ugly loss for the program. Anytime you have to say since the 90s on anything.
Worst loss since 1996.
Yeah, Florida, 56-13.
I remember that game.
Yeah. You know who quarterback was?
Kevin Falk's second year.
Yeah.
Herb Tyler.
Was it Herb Tyler?
Had to have been.
Ooh, I was going to say...
Unless I'd have to go look at the box score.
I think it was Jamie Howard, actually.
No. Jamie, you sure?
I'm thinking it was Jamie Howard that year, yeah.
No.
Sure.
Jamie was a senior in 95, and then he got hurt, and that's when Herb Tyler came on.
Maybe so. But anyways, I was very young.
No.
I'm pulling some distant memories. I was, 5 years old for that game.
Yeah, no, it was Herb Tyler, unless Herb was hurt, and then it was a backup. But now you're going to... somebody in the comment...
Yeah, someone correct us real quick.
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback in 96?
I haven't eaten all day, so when I roll out of here, I'm hitting 5 guys at 9:30.
Yeah, right.
All right, here we go. Let me get some of the comments. Hey, y'all do us a favor. Hit the like and share button on your Facebook feed, please. It helps with our algorithm, and we want other LSU fans that a lot of you are like-minded and have a bunch of LSU fans on your Facebook. Please share this video for us and hit the like button. Much appreciated. Chris Vanessa Mesh Domain, terrible. Mike Barnes, Herbs was 96, I was right. Brian Champon, one hit wonder, I'm assuming. What are you saying on that?
Orgeron.
Is that Orgeron, or are you saying Finley 1 week? Tyler Chasson, terrible game. Let's see what else we got.
By the way, I wanna throw something out there. The number one comment I had from fans is, are they going to fire Pelini? Fire Pelini. When are they going to fire Pelini? All right. Here's my in-depth take on that. Just throwing some context on that. A, he makes $2.3 million, and you have to pay him this season regardless.
LSU is broke, and they're laying off people in sports and making and dropping salaries because they're over $80 million in shortfall.
Yeah,
they're not going to be buying out anybody.
Yeah. In fact, I might even argue. With that, you may even see Bo Pelini next season. I mean, it's going to be very hard with them cutting back as much as they've had. I mean, $80 million in revenue cuts, people. That is no... I mean, Orgeron took a 5% pay cut. Yeah. And he's now, not that he'd have any of these to claim, but he also gave up any and all bonuses this year.
No,
so,
and look, and I admire him for that. Because I tell you what... I mean, I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I have a hard time believing Les Miles would do that. That's just me.
Maybe
I'm probably going to get flamed for that, but Faye, shoot, because I know some things that went on. Why I say that, where some guys, coaching staffs were messed up out of some bowl stuff during his tenure, and that's what I base that on.
Well, let me tell you this.
Camp money. I know some coaches got ripped out of camp money from Miles. A lot of promises that weren't kept. Yeah. So, Faye Schubert, how can LSU recruit elite athletes with this fiasco? Look, that's always been the deal. I think a lot of folks think that that is what matters to recruits. Recruits the opportunity. And so when Mason Smith and Corey Foreman and those guys see what's out there, Landon Jackson with an injury, knock on wood, that he can come back and be 100% in a hurry. Savion Jones at St. James, who I think is going to be absolutely fantastic. Of course, we can talk in the chat about the news today that Sage Ryan committed. There's another possibility that's out there within the next few days in recruiting that can be happening. So stay tuned to TigerBait.com for that. Who gets fired? Brian Champon. Nobody.
Nobody for now. I mean, I'd say... After the season, if it doesn't improve, even Bo Pelini has a 50-50 shot at saving his job. I mean, $2.3 million a year. Let's talk about. Did they really need to hire? Did they need to offer $2.3 million? Do you think you needed to offer him a full $2.3 million to come, or was that just one of those? Hey, look, I mean, the last guy made 2.5, so let's bump you down 10%.
And, it's one of those deals where, it's like, how do you bring in Pelini and you say, you're my guy and I want to go to a 4-3 I believe in you more than Dave Aranda, the guy who's moving on, but your market value is decidedly less, and then have a good start to your relationship.
I mean, I get it, but like
LSU sets the precedence for what they pay coordinators.
I've been hearing these coaching BS excuses to boost their contract. I can't recruit if I don't have 5 years on my contract. And so much of it is just agent-driven BS. I mean, I think that it's like, hey, how about this? You were making $200K last year, and you're going to be making 5 times that now if you make $1 million. How about look at the market and say, look, honestly, you're a coordinator. Look, let's be honest. You haven't coordinated a defense in 13 years. Maybe give you some time to do it, and let's make it incentive driven. Like, I don't buy the contract BS. I talk to a lot of kids, a lot of these high school kids, and you know what I've never heard one of them mention? Never once have I heard them mention, well, yeah, I like this team, but I mean, their coach is on an X and X contract for X and X dollars, so I'm a little uncertain.
While we're a little spicy tonight, of course, we're now live streaming this to Facebook and TigerBait's YouTube channel. And so my Wednesday night show, where the headline was Sage Ryan on YouTube, I'm assuming Alabama fans were hitting the search button. And so I wanted to have a little fun with the Pinnacle SP in the comments section of our YouTube version of the Wednesday night show, where he said, obviously he was talking about Sage Ryan. Are you really bringing inside news from your couch? I'm sorry, I can't trust anything said here. Well, hey, Mr. Hot Take, Sage Ryan committed to LSU.
Ha!
So I just want to have a little fun with that, since we're being spicy, and the Bammer.
Whoa!
The Bammer who was saying you can't take anybody serious who's sitting on that sofa. So that's kind of why Preston's sitting there tonight. But and I'm sitting over here. But this is the truth-telling sofa.
Hey, let me ask you this: what hats were left on the table? I don't know who was left on the table.
Did you see Trev pull the LSU hat up a little early? Everybody caught that.
He revealed the polo first, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, but the polo was white.
Yeah. But
that could have had an Alabama logo on there just as easy.
By the way, one thing I want to point out. So Coach O took 5% pay cut. He makes $7 million a year, right? That's $140,000. Thanks to him taking a 5% pay cut. You probably save about 3 mid-level employees' jobs. That's why, during this COVID stuff, I always, if you're going to lay people off, I always like to hear, okay, did someone at the top take a pay cut? Because you can save people's entire jobs if these guys at the top making more money than they'll ever need. Just take a small little cut, you save entire livelihoods. So good on Coach.
By the way, as always, these post-game shows are brought to you by attorney Kenneth P. Haynes. Kenny's absolute fantastic attorney, a good friend of mine, and we appreciate him sponsoring us each week. The Kenneth P. Haynes, attorney at law in Shreveport, and he's, of course, at the Weems, Schimpf, Haynes, Shermwell, and Moore law firm, a full service Shreveport law firm. Kenny is the only lawyer in the state practicing outside of New Orleans that is board certified in appellate practice and family law. Kenny has been board certified in family law since 2004. He's been board certified in appellate practice since the inception of the specialty in 2017, and has 30 years plus experience representing individuals with their litigation needs. He does family, personal injury, commercial litigation. He's a founding member of TigerBait.com, and like I said, one of our best posters every week. He's always in the chat. I haven't seen him arrive yet. And of course, the firm he's with there in Shreveport has successfully cared for people's legal needs since 1983. Law graduate of 1989. and you know the rest. If you're in North Louisiana, anywhere north of Alexandria, from Monroe to Shreveport, he's your guy. Divorce, personal injury, please call Kenneth P. Haynes, and that's his number right there, 318-222-2100. And please do say you heard about him and his firm on TigerBait.com. Much appreciated. And hit the link. I got a link to his profile page in the description box here in the chat. So
looking forward to his fanalist comments tonight. Hey, look, 2 kind of aggressive-ish comments I saw, but I think we need to address this. Jim Milano, Coach Potato strikes again. Ooh, man. And then Garrett Galjor, on that note, could Coach O be on the hot seat? Here's my take. No, absolutely not. I mean, financials, $80 million revenue cut, they ain't doing anything.
And Brad Wilkins is correct in your math. 5% is 350, not 140.
Am I crazy? No, I did it on
He's
my
a mass
calculator.
communications major.
Easy there.
He's not a math major.
Easy. You know us journalists.
I had a problem with Algebra 1021.
I never took that. I was mass comm. I did journalism, man.
What? Everybody has to have algebra
Nope.
in college.
Not this guy.
What?
Not this guy, man.
All right.
But anyways, no. Financials are, a serious problem. You can't fire Coach O and pay all that money for nothing. It's not like it was when Les Miles was around, when things were still booming financially and some booster could come in. They ain't no $80 million booster who can come in and fix things for LSU. So, no, Coach O's good. B, Coach O, I mean, he's a no-excuse guy, and he's not in his press conference taking excuses. He's very real and critical, but realistically, if you're a fan and analyzing it, I mean, doesn't he have about every excuse you could think of for the head coach of LSU?
Yeah, I did. Look, everybody's fired up. This whole firing this guy and that guy, that's not happening. I want to ask you, fourth quarter.
350. Damn.
Fourth quarter is, was it a 4th and 4 or 4th and 5 at midfield, and they elected to punt rather than go for it? What did you think about that call?
What was
when
the
you were
score at the
down?
time?
I mean, whatever the score was, why you're at midfield, why would you go for it?
I mean,
you're getting your butt ripped.
I mean, I just, at a certain point, you got to cut the bleeding. I would have gone for it. I can't justify it. But I mean,
what's the difference? You're down 40-something point. They've got 40-something points at that point. I mean, so what if it's 50? What's the difference? You've been humiliated on national television already.
I don't know. I'd have to be in that position and have to tell you. I mean, here's the ultimate deal: is at that point, nothing you do really matters for the game. I mean, morale possibly, but I mean, I can tell you, probably adding that touchdown at the end to where you're looking at 48-11. That's a lot better than 56-3.
Yeah, I'm. All week long I was, posing the question, boy, if TJ Finley were to come out, man, Alabama's just 27-0 on Mississippi State.
And it's worse than the scoreboard. I looked at some of the stats earlier. It was 18 first downs to 1. Yeah. I mean, this Alabama team is legit.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, the LSU's got a Jims and Joe's problem. They've got an issue with all the opt-outs. I saw running down a list of those who have opted out or quit or transferred. What is it, 16 plus?
Yeah.
And some of those are just like, wow. So thin on the defensive line. The offensive line, to perform and do what they did last week against South Carolina, a team that beat Auburn the previous week, and then you go to Auburn and you can't run the football. That was absolutely putrid. TJ Finley with the mistakes. It's one of those deals. Well, that's what you expect out of freshman quarterback.
That is how a true freshman could play.
Yeah.
If y'all remember last week, the adjective I kept on using to describe him was unreasonably good. It is not reasonable to expect a true freshman to play the way he played last week. It is reasonable. He made some good plays. He had 3 drops early on, and that interception was just god-awful ugly. It's very obvious to me that his strength is throwing down the field, and they're still working on his horizontal game, okay? But this is what you should expect for a true freshman making his first start on the road. Given the circumstance, I mean, specifically out of TJ Finley, I don't think you should expect any better than that. I mean, he made some good plays.
Look,
he made some bad plays.
By the way, we're now Auburn has uploaded Miles on and all the player interviews, and I know they load theirs up in 1080p, big files. LSU still has not emailed out Orgeron's press conference. They didn't go live on Facebook or YouTube like they normally do.
Yeah.
And the only copies of it out there are from guys in the media in New Orleans who were recording their computer screen with their cell phones.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on if, man. And Orgeron only talked for 5 minutes. What was his opening statement like? You were on the call. Did he or he just say any questions?
He came out and he was, he held his team accountable. We got to do better. I mean, the same thing we've heard all year.
Man, what is Alabama going to do to this LSU football team?
Well, think about this, Mike. This LSU team is obviously vulnerable. Everyone they play is out for revenge, especially Alabama.
Oh yeah, that tape. Every Alabama player has gotten a copy of that tape, and you know which one I'm talking about. Kerry Vincent's going live from the locker room.
Roll Tide what? Yeah. That is...
Of course, and Kerry Vincent opted out, so he don't have to be a part of what's coming because of it.
Exactly. It is... It's unfortunate. I wouldn't anticipate anything good from it. It depends on if Miles Brennan plays, if they could even really have a legitimate shot of making it look close. And, from what I'm understanding, it's not very likely he'll play that game. So, you know what? Buckle up, LSU fans. The only thing I can say, I talked to Orgeron post-game. I did get a question in for him, and he answered this very candidly. I thought it was actually kind of shocking to see him answer a question, especially after a big loss. I said, Coach O, your team in the first, quarter and a half, your defense played the best football they've played all year, really. I mean, it was a shutout. And then, TJ throws an ugly interception, has a fumble, does his thing, and they're down 14-0. And then, boom, 5 straight touchdown drives. Coach, did your team get emotionally deflated after that play? And he said, absolutely. It shouldn't be that way. But, yeah, things felt flat when it was 14-0. So...
Garrett Gouger. So, Mike, you're saying we're stuck with Pelini for another season. Yeah, I don't see... and look, I don't think Orgeron's pinning anything on him. They've got a big problem with personnel. They're missing a lot of pieces. They're thin. You've got new faces there. You've got guys out of position. Ojulari at 200 and what is he? 235. Trying to be a
true freshman.
Yeah, and not only that, he's light for what they're asking him to do. I mean, very, very difficult. And the guys that have legit big time ability, are young. Just some major issues. And you look at that defensive. If you say anybody that's been in the program from year 2, I'm not going to throw any freshmen in the mix. So I'm not talking about Roy. I'm talking about all the rest of the guys that are on your first team or 2 deep in your defensive front 7. Who in that group is a legit all-SEC first or second team selection?
Stingley. Wait.
No, I'm talking about defensive front 7.
None of them. No, I don't think there's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking to Brian Lazaro later, and he's like, well, is Ali Gay going to go pro? I mean...
No.
I mean, how's he going?
Maybe after week 1 he looked... After the first half he looked like...
It's like, I mean, I think Ali Gay's got
Ali Gay...
He has a good ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's raw.
Yeah, he's very raw. I was going to point that out. He had a play where he had Bo Nix on the edge. It was like 2nd and long, and he didn't break down. He kept on running straight. That's high school football. They teach you that. They iron out. When you are pursuing a guy and he starts to cut, chop your feet. Get your balance going. He could go either way. He just went straight for it and then got juked it was like one of these high school highlight rules you see, and it was just very unfortunate. I think the sad part of this defense is you probably have the best cornerback tandem in the country, and it doesn't even matter because of how blatant the holes are other places. And quite frankly, I blame the scheme quite a bit. So is Bo Pelini stuck next year? I mean, if it continues like this, I'd put it 50-50 only because of the financials. But, I mean, as you start to think, probably there's going to be a vaccine for COVID here soon and whatnot. So I'd assume they're going to rely on financials coming back to normal, and a booster could probably pick that up. You might see Bo Pelini reassigned, but I don't see him off payroll per se. I think they might, try to find someone on staff, or, they might try to find, someone to come in and call plays who's not maybe top dollar, but, can at least be average. But they're going to have to get crafty. That's my point here. It is going to be tough to fire a top dollar defensive coordinator like that amidst $80 million revenue shortage. It just is. But I'm not saying they won't find a way. This is one of those situations where Saban has top-notch coordinators stockpiled for days. As soon as one of them quits,
that doesn't affect him. But his overall deal is roster management, keeping guys in the program that you think, man, if they were at LSU, they'd be pro in a heartbeat. He's always done a fantastic job with that. That's why, when they have a 2-loss season, that is like the rarest of the rare. So, one loss is rare for him. But anyways, I just think, look, you someone asked in the chat just now. Let me see who it was. I want to give him Mike Duyon, what are y'all's take on James Craig and the job he's done since arriving at LSU? Look, when you lose Sadiq Charles and Cushenberry, Rosenthal's indefinitely suspended again. You've got new faces there. You're not getting anything from Cardell Thomas. You're not. I think Thomas Perry got in last week. Bradford, we've seen him a little bit. Are those guys that you can rely on up the road? The problem and the unfortunate thing for Coach Craig is that he's got to get it done nationally to get his players for the most part. Next year is going to be an odd. Last year you had one player in the state that they wanted, Cedric Van Pran, and that's Kirby Smart spelled with a $sign instead of an S. That's why you didn't get him. And then next year you've got, Emory Jones at Catholic and Will Campbell at Neville. Having two marquee top 100 guys in the state, and I believe they both are. I think Emory Jones at Catholic High School is a future All-SEC, could be an All-American guard, and Will Campbell is a beast. You've also got Ben Bordelon's son for next year, who's light right now at about 245 at Newman. I think he's one to watch, and he's as big as his daddy was at that point, and I talked to Ben, and Ben says he's going to be bigger than him. So, but they were the same weight at that time. So I think he's one that could probably get an offer. But those two, Emory Jones and Will Campbell, that's an oddity for Louisiana. So Coach Craig has got to go nationally. He's got Tristan Lee we're waiting to hear about. You got Dellinger, already committed. We'll see about Savion Bird from Duncanville, Texas. But when you start running the numbers, Langlois committing on Monday, Sage Ryan committed today. That has 20. Jack Besh is on the clock. It's that gives you 21. So 22, Mason Smith, Brian Thomas. What happens there? Is that 23? Corey Foreman, Tristan Lay. 20. It's getting tight.
It is, but I would also expect there's always some sort of turnover on guys, deciding to go somewhere else. So you really should expect to fill. Yeah, it's almost like fill 27 spots and expect 2 to go elsewhere.
Mike Robichaux, why not recruit those big guys from Wisconsin? It's and look, Coach Craig's doing that. He's been going to Michigan. He's up north. He's hitting that Rust Belt, which you can look at any study you want where you want to chart where your NFL lineman grew up, and it's all that Ohio. That Rust Belt area for the most part. So, but no doubt, losing Sadiq Charles, Cushenberry at center,
Damian Lewis.
These
are a bunch of guys who, if you hadn't gone 15-0 and had all these accolades, they're coming back because they weren't like developed prime NFL prospects. Those are the kind of guys you need to keep. Here's a good question. Dustin Bazar. Other teams going through this like we are? Well, Today, Clemson lost their starting quarterback, and they struggled mightily. In fact, they were down 21-7 against Boston College. So LSU likewise lost their starting quarterback and struggled mightily today. Although LSU didn't get the win, but I think Auburn is probably
Is
good
Alyssa watching?
College. I don't know.
Alyssa, chime in if you're there because it's 8:07, which unless we have some straggler Halloween folks, Preston's going home with a ditty bag full of Snickers for you.
That's his favorite tradition, man. That's okay. We need something to pick me up here because we're not getting it from on the field. That's for sure.
Let's get some more comments in here. Go Tigers. What? Yeah. I can see what you're saying. 70s Strat. He's having a play on Orgeron in the Alabama game. Yep.
Mike Robichaud wants to know why not recruit big boys from Wisconsin.
That's what I just talked about. Yeah, he's going to Michigan. He's going up in the Rust Belt.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about to say they kind of are, and it's not easy either.
Yeah, I mean that's where he's got Dellinger's commitment from. See, I say Dellinger because of Ross.
Yeah.
he says Dellinger.
Yeah.
Jim Milano, the Nigerian prince will bulk up. Yes, he will. I think he will. Look, I like BJ a lot. Ojolari, he's going to be a big timer.
By the way, Alyssa says she's watching with my dad. Yeah, my dad showed up to get some action on these trick or treaters since my street has like 300 kids going up and down it. And I was like, well, I gotta go do my post game show. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Shout out, Pops. Good timing. Let's see here. So give me 3 things to focus against Bama. That's from Greg Price. Don't lose by 100.
Alyssa, does Mike have Rona? A lot of coughing. No, it's a residual effect of a sinus infection 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Pat Mashburn, did the film and TJ Finley from the South Carolina game make it easy for Auburn to figure him out?
It didn't make it harder.
I don't know that that's what it was. I just think their defensive line did a fantastic job against LSU's offensive line. I think there was a desire problem. I think there was a Finley had some drops. He made some ill-informed throws. That holding the ball up like this.
Now,
man, come on, man.
I'm going to tell you this. I think spirits being broken in the second quarter probably had a bit to do with it. To me, it was one of those things. TJ Finley was incredible at the beginning of the game. He had 3 drops there, and it's like none of them should have been dropped. Chris Curry on an easy dump off, and then Terrace Marshall right in the numbers in the middle of the field twice on the first drive. To me, it was like I got the feeling like it was like they just kept on waiting for it all to be put together and move the ball down the field, put some points on the board, and it never happened. And the spirits of the defense and really the team just kind of broke. I mean, and they never were able to rebound from that. Let's see here. Any chance LSU makes a run at Barry Odom? You would like to say yes, but I think revenue cuts might ruin any kind of moves like that. I mean,
look, this question of staff, it's not like, look, and people saying, is the game past Bo Pelini by this and that? Man, look, I'm watching him. That dude's working his tail off. They needed a spring football. He didn't need all those opt-outs. LSU's missing so many components, but I will say today, though, I'm not going to say this team quit, but you have some players that need to get thrown into a locker and say, what the hell are you doing?
Easy there. Mike Leach is a little too close for comments like that. As we try to survive this season, what's your thoughts on next season? We keep a lot of people. Other opponents should lose plenty of talent. I mean, other opponents will probably lose a decent amount of talent. LSU, any guys that might have been looking to go pro might stay, but Terrace Marshall ain't staying. Marshall's gone.
Yeah, those guys last year that LSU lost. It's one thing to say, okay, the numbers, and the numbers were the most ever, right? Tied Ohio State. But then it goes beyond that because of all the free agent signees and the opt-outs and COVID. But look at the difference makers that went early. I mean, it's one thing to have guys that are program guys or what some coaches will call he's just a guy. It's the difference makers that you're missing. And offensive line was the big loser tonight. But there's poor grades to go around. I'm not going to throw TJ Finley under the bus. He's in this situation because, Miles Brennan's hurt, and you had a little gap there in recruiting, and you didn't have another guy in the program that has an additional year or two behind Brennan. So, that was always the nightmare scenario that we talked about all year long. How durable is Miles Brennan in the offseason? We don't know until we see it. Well, we saw it.
So Greg Price with a comment here. 3 things against Bama. No drops, no turnovers, unpredictable offense. Look, if you're working on 3 things to improve, those aren't the first things that come to mind. I would say tackling, coverage, and blocking, offensive line blocking. That'd be my 3 things. Who are the offensive, defensive player leaders on this team? That's from Faye Schubert. Offensively, they had Liam Shanahan out there as doing the press conference. You have to assume he's kind of a leader. Although I do have a little bit of criticism for, in a loss like this, rolling out your center. You know what I mean? Like, give us some sort of skill player. Give us some sort of guy who's been there longer than 5 months as a transfer.
Look, I can tell you right now, Stingley is a leader. I don't know how vocal Todd Harris can be. I'm looking at that defensive line. I know Jaquelin Roy is a competitor. I don't know what you're getting from Logan and Neil Farrell. And, some of these guys are quiet.
Well, and worth noting, it's hard to be a leader in your first year as a starter, okay? All offseason long, guys, they look up in the locker room. Oh, look, Mac Jones with an interception. Funny. They were just comparing him to Joe Burrow. Next play, interception. It's tough as a guy to come in first-year starter and be an immediate leader. It's really tough. Guess what? There's only 4 guys who started last year.
Yeah,
none of them in the front 7.
It took Joe Burrow a while in 2018.
Oh, and Joe Burrow was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of leader guy. I mean, the things he did, like Coach O said, immediately he came out and won his sprints. Joe Burrow did things intentionally that might have hurt him just to come off as a better leader. He said, I wasn't lighting up the stat sheet, so I took hard hits. I never took a sled. Burrow did things that are unnatural, unnormal, intentionally to be a leader as a first-year starter. It's tough. So maybe leaders are being developed right now. There's no true leader. Stingley, of course, would be one, and Jamar Chase was one. Terrace Marshall, of course, is one.
Look what I figured out how to do. Aaron Adams Jr., you're getting highlighted in the comments section.
Oh, look at you, Mike.
Yeah, see, we got some little added features here that I'm... it's been a long time since we have played this bad every level, Aaron Adams.
2014 maybe, but even 2014, Les Miles, criticize his scheme all you want. It was really good at avoiding blowouts. Really good because you just shortened the game, ran the ball, tough, physical, run the ball. And even in your ugly losses, you're only losing by like 10, 14 points, something like that. That's a bit of the downside to this system, although it is much less like watching paint dry.
Blaine Smith, complete team loss. We get you to highlight your face on TigerBait's live post-game show. Here's a good one. I tell you, Mike Towery, not enough leaders on this team, too many players laughing on the sidelines while they're getting dominated. This is a poor reflection on our coaches. They should take a 50% pay cut instead of just 5%.
Now, I didn't see players laughing on the sideline.
I didn't see that either, but I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I do think that there's some guys that need to be yanked up by their bootstraps and stuffed into a locker.
I'm going to tell you, me as a player, that was my pet peeve. After a loss, you are silent. And if you are singing and dancing and laughing after a loss, that means you are content with losing. If you are content with losing, by definition, you are a loser.
Yeah, look, there's enough new faces in this program that you can't put the are they fat and happy off of what happened last year. You've got enough faces in there that want it for themselves.
Which we're not saying is the case. We're speculating. Could be the case. Got any other comments? By the way, guys, we're going to wrap up here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, look, there's my face. Who was the better team in your... I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Alabama was better today. I don't know. They might have been a little bit better.
No, the better team between Auburn and LSU.
I know. That's just like I don't know. I'll let y'all decide who the better team was today.
Yeah, I'd like for some of you guys in the comments section to say what you think the solutions are for this year with what you have to work with and who the coaches are.
And by the way, we're probably going to have to wrap up here in just a bit. So y'all go ahead and get your last little minute comments in, and we'll always try to close out those last few comments.
No doubt.
Before we hop off, but it's the last call coming out. You got anything good there, Mike?
Let's see.
Well, while he's looking for a good comment, I'm gonna just talk about what I think might be some solutions. I've said this all year. Defensively, stop trying to do fancy stuff. Call a cover 3, cover 4 defense. Very conservative. Just don't get gashed for these giant gobs of yardage. Eventually, the offense will trip up, and maybe do that. Offensively, establish a power running attack.
John Merriam, guys, let's talk real quick. Talking about last year's team, we're 5 games into this season. The issue we have: no toughness and physical hitting desire on our defense, regardless of what we lost or what we chose not to want to play. It's got to be the next man up there.
I would argue.
The problem is you're 67 on the roster now.
Yeah,
your next man up is thin. I mean, you're down. You're basically down a graduating class.
Yeah.
By the time you've had some attrition, what is the usual number? Middle teens of the guys that run out and get the white football in your last game of the season. It's usually about 15 or so when you had the normal attrition of a recruiting
you're talking about
class.
scholarship guys, because I'm
not talking about preferred walk-ons.
You got some fluffers in there,
So you're basically down an entire class right now.
Yeah.
On your roster. So when you're talking about next man up, it's one of the deals where, you can't sit in the NFL where you can make trades and get some needed help mid-season.
I can't.
You're dealing with what you've got. I keep wondering where's Jacoby and Guillory. I want to ask that question on Monday. What's the story with his ankle, or how far along is he? Is he overweight?
Played at the very end. He did.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, he did. He registered a tackle, if I'm not mistaken, like the last play of the game.
There you go.
But one thing I want to point out about Trenchman, a lot of people talk about, okay, we got to get recruiting, get this guy in there. Defensive tackle and offensive line, you got to beef up. Okay, you can't just plug a true freshman 5-star guy in there and usually have him just be a dude day one. Those take some time. Great offensive lines, they're built 3 years in advance. So the guys they were recruiting 3 years ago, now that they're in the pipeline, maybe next year they'll be more developed, and there is hope on that end, because they have signed some relatively big name guys the last few years.
Kenneth Haynes chimes in. No leadership on this team, no energy today. Auburn came out ready to win, no doubt. And that's what's frustrating, because LSU came out and thoroughly dominated South Carolina last week. A team that beat Auburn the week before, and then LSU goes to Auburn, and I don't care if it's on the road or what. There's no excuse for LSU to look the way they did today. And Orgeron said we had a good week of practice. Isn't that what he said? Good week of practice. We had a good game plan. I don't know.
He's having to do more coach speak than ever. Didn't before the season he said the defense?
No doubt. That's a good point.
At any point last year, what the hell do you expect Orgeron to say at this point? I will give him kudos. Like I said, my question post game to him was, Coach, did your team feel like it was deflated, emotionally devastated after those 2 turnovers in the first half? And he said, no doubt. He's like, yeah, our energy was a problem. Straight up, he said it shouldn't be that way, but it is.
Right.
I bet you he's going to try to address that, but at a certain point, I'm not sure there's too much he can do. I give him a lot of excuses, but he knows where the buck stops.
Jim Milano, I saw Stingley make some tough tackles today and sticking his nose in there on runs. We did not have a lot of penalties today, but I realized that is like saying, other than that, how did you like the play, Miss Lincoln? I like that one. I like that one. That's good. That's good, Jim.
Took me longer than I would like to admit to catch that one.
It's let's see what else I got.
Like I said, if on defense, the bright spot is those 2 corners are playing lights out. Elias Ricks, Derek Stingley, they're incredible. But, I mean, at safety and scheme-wise, which I think more the DBs is the problem of scheme, less the problem of talent. The front seven, I think there's some Jimmy's and Joe's issues, not in the backfield. That's a legit defensive backfield. I just think that they're doing some bad scheme things right now. And
by the way, guys, please subscribe to TigerBait.com. We had an unbelievable week this week. Big news today, of course, Sage Ryan, the 5-star safety, committed to LSU at noon. I had the prediction right on that one. And we've got some more big stuff coming on TigerBait in the next few days. So you're going to want to get on the site for that.
oh,
Please like and share this video on your Facebook timeline. That's much appreciated. As always, TigerBait is $1 for you to try it for a week. Give us a chance with that. I think you'll stick around. Get involved on our Tiger Den Premium board. I'm there day and night answering your questions, mingling with you. Guys like Kenny Haynes is on the board to mingle with you. We got some guys that really know football that love to talk it on our message board, and that's a big draw. Be a part of our TigerBait community. Always choose the annual package. You basically get 3 months when you choose the annual packages. You get a price break on that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go type in YouTube TigerBait.com, and let's see. I think, is there anything else? Jim Milano, shout out again to Racehorse Haynes. Thanks for sponsoring, no doubt. Thanks to Kenneth P. Haynes, attorney at law, and big part of our TigerBait family, and a fantastic attorney. If you need any legal help up in North Louisiana, he's your guy. Kenneth P. Haynes in Shreveport. Give him a call, 318-222-2100. His description and a link to his direct attorney page on the firm's website is in the description box above. And Faye Schubert, I'm ready for basketball. Boy, that's rough, huh? Yeah. I think Will Wade's gonna have a basketball team, a good one. But
just look at people use the confetti to wipe away your tears.
Yeah. So look, all right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Happy Halloween to you all. Tough one on the board. We're still gonna be talking about this one on TigerBait for the next day or two. Go check out our Sage Ryan coverage. And I've got, like I said, there's some other big news right around the corner, and our coverage of that event.
Let's just put it like this. It'll be worth $1. Right?
Yes.
It'll be worth $1, you know?
Yes.
Give it a try, y'all. Promise you.
Yes, no doubt. Thanks to all of y'all participating. Please like, share, and we'll be back here again next week. Thanks for being with us. Good night.
Night, y'all.